Picture, if you will, a place on our very own planet that remains more mysterious than the surface of Marsa realm, where sunlight has never touched, where creatures drift through eternal darkness like living stars, and where the pressure could crush mountains into dust. This is our deep ocean, and tonight we'll drift together into its peaceful secrets. Before we begin this gentle journey into the depths, if you enjoy relaxing science stories like this one, feel free to subscribe, give this video a like, and comment below. Let me know what country you're watching from, and what time you're listening to this tonight. Your presence here makes this shared moment of wonder all the more special. Now, settle back into your pillows, let your breathing slow and deepen, and imagine yourself floating at the surface of a perfectly calm ocean at twilight. The water stretches endlessly in all directions, dark and inviting, holding secrets that have remained hidden for millions of years. Tonight, we'll explore why this underwater universe, covering more than half our planet, remains largely unknown to us. A gentle mystery that continues to whisper its secrets to those patient enough to listen. Asterisk, imagine for just a moment that you could shrink our entire planet down to the size of a marble, smooth and blue in your palm. If you were to run your finger across its surface, you would barely feel the mountains. They would be mere whiskers of texture. But the oceans would feel like deep, gentle dimples pressed into this marble earth, holding most of its secrets in liquid silence. We often think we know our planet well, don't we? We've mapped every continent, climbed the highest peaks, traversed the driest deserts. We've sent our curious eyes into space, photographing distant galaxies and walking on the moon. Yet here, beneath the waves that gently lap at our shores every day, lies a world more alien and unexplored than any distant planet we've glimpsed through our telescopes. Consider this peaceful paradox. We have better maps of Mars than we do of our own ocean floor. We've identified more craters on the moon than we have species living in the deep sea. While we can tell you the precise temperature of Venus's atmosphere, we cannot tell you what lives just a few miles beneath the waves that you might walk beside. Tomorrow morning, the deep ocean begins where sunlight ends, around 200 meters down, deeper than most church spires are tall, yet shallow compared to the true abyss that awaits below. Here begins a realm of perpetual midnight, where the only light comes from living creatures themselves, painting the darkness with their gentle, bioluminescent brushstrokes. What is it about this liquid space that makes it so elusive to our understanding? Why does a medium that covers 71% of our planet's surface remain as mysterious as the far side of the moon? The answer lies not just in the technical challenges, though they are immense, but in something more profound, in the very nature of this three-dimensional wilderness that exists in a state of constant, fluid motion. Think of it this way. If you wanted to explore a forest, you could walk through it, mark your path, return to the same tree again and again. The forest stays where you left it. But the ocean ... The ocean is never the same twice. Water masses drift like slow, invisible rivers. Currents shift and swirl in patterns that would take lifetimes to fully understand. The deep sea is not just a place. It is a living, breathing entity that changes even as we try to study it. And then there is the matter of pressure, that invisible weight that presses down from above. At the surface, we live under the gentle pressure of our atmosphere, like living beneath a soft, invisible blanket. But every 10 meters deeper into the ocean, that pressure doubles. By the time you reach the deep ocean floor, the weight pressing down is equivalent to having 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of every square meter. It's a crushing embrace that makes exploration not just difficult, but seemingly impossible. Yet perhaps the most beautiful reason the deep sea remains unexplored is simply this: it is vast beyond our everyday comprehension. If you could somehow drain all the water from our oceans, you would reveal mountain ranges taller than the Himalayas, canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, and plains that stretch for thousands of miles in every direction. It is not just an ocean. It is an entire world, layered beneath the world we know, patient and waiting in its liquid silence. Asterisk, asterisk, let us drift deeper now, into the gentle science of why the deep sea holds its secrets so closely, like a sleeping giant. The ocean keeps its mysteries not out of malice, but simply because it exists in a realm where the normal rules of our surface world no longer apply. The first challenge that greets any visitor to the deep is pressure, but not the rushed, anxious pressure of our daily lives. This is something far more fundamental: the weight of water itself. Water, that substance we drink, bathe in, and see falling as gentle rain, becomes something entirely different when it accumulates in the vast columns of the deep ocean. Imagine, if you will, a column of water stretching from the deepest part of the ocean floor all the way up to the surface, a liquid tower over 11 kilometers tall. Now imagine the weight of all that water pressing down. At the deepest point of our ocean, in the Mariana Trench, the pressure reaches over 1,000 times what we experience at sea level. It's as if the weight of the entire atmosphere were pressing down on you, not once, but 1,000 times over. This pressure doesn't just make things difficult. It fundamentally changes how matter behaves. Gases that exist freely in our world become compressed into liquids. Materials that seem solid and strong at the surface become as fragile as tissue paper. The human body, so beautifully adapted to life at sea level, would be instantly crushed by this gentle but overwhelming embrace of pressure. Yet life has found a way to thrive even here, in ways that seem almost magical. Deep-sea creatures have evolved bodies that are largely made of water themselves, making them nearly incompressible. They live in perfect harmony with the pressure, their bodies neither fighting against it nor being destroyed by it, but simply existing within it like notes in a slow, deep song. The second challenge is darkness, not the comfortable darkness of nighttime, which is merely the absence of our familiar sun, but true, absolute darkness that has existed for millions of years. At around 200 meters deep, the last whispers of sunlight fade away completely. Below this twilight zone lies a world that has never known day or night as we understand them. In this eternal midnight, many creatures have become their own stars, creating light through bioluminescence, a gentle, chemical glow that paints the darkness in blues and greens and occasional flashes of silver. It's as if the deep sea decided to create its own aurora, a living light show that dances through the water in patterns we're only beginning to understand. Temperature, too, becomes something different in the deep. While the surface of the ocean might be warm and inviting, perfect for swimming on a summer day, the deep ocean maintains a constant, cold temperature just above freezing. It's not the bitter cold of winter, but rather a patient, persistent chill that seeps into everything, slowing down life processes and creating a world where time itself seems to move differently. And then there is the simple matter of distance and time. To reach the deepest parts of our ocean, even with our most advanced technology, takes hours of slow descent through the water column. It's not like traveling across the surface of the earth, where you can move quickly from place to place. In the ocean, every journey is a patient meditation, a slow sinking through layers of liquid space. These challenges combine to create something remarkable, a world that exists on our own planet, yet remains as alien and inaccessible as any science fiction could imagine. It's a realm that demands not just advanced technology, but a different way of thinking about exploration itself, one that embraces patience, accepts mystery, and finds wonder in the unknown. Asterisk, asterisk, let me tell you a gentle story from long ago, when the deep sea was not just unexplored, but unimaginable to the human mind. Picture, if you will, the year 1872, when the world moved at the pace of horse-drawn carriages and sailing ships, when electric lights were still a marvel, and when the ocean was thought to be nothing more than a vast, empty basin of salt water. In that quieter time, there lived a man named Charles Wyville Thomson, a soft-spoken naturalist with kind eyes and an insatiable curiosity about the living world. Unlike the bold explorers of his day who sought to conquer mountains and claim new lands, Thomson was drawn to gentler mysteries. He wondered, in the quiet way that true scientists do, whether life could possibly exist in the cold, dark depths of the ocean. The prevailing wisdom of the time was clear and confident. Below a certain depth, the ocean was lifeless. Scientists called it the Azoic Zone, a realm without life, as barren as the surface of the moon. They believed that the pressure, the cold, and the eternal darkness created conditions so harsh that no living thing could possibly survive. The deep sea, they thought, was nothing more than a liquid desert, empty and silent. But Thomson had a different kind of vision. He imagined, in his gentle way, that life might find a way to flourish even in the most unlikely places. He proposed something that seemed almost fantastical at the time, a voyage specifically designed to explore the deep ocean, to dredge up samples from the sea floor and see what mysteries might be hiding there. And so began one of the most peaceful revolutions in the history of science. The British Royal Navy provided a ship, HMS Challenger, and for 3.5 years, from 1872 to 1876, this vessel became a floating laboratory, drifting slowly across the world's oceans like a patient student learning to read an ancient, liquid book. The Challenger expedition was not a race or a conquest, but rather a meditation in motion. Day after day, the crew would lower their dredging equipment into the depths, sometimes waiting hours for it to reach the ocean floor, then slowly, patiently hauling it back up to see what treasures the deep sea might offer. It was work that required not just courage, but a deep reservoir of patience and wonder. What they found changed everything. The dredges came up filled not with empty mud, but with life, strange, beautiful, alien life that no human had ever seen before. There were creatures that glowed with their own light, animals that seemed to be made of living glass, beings so delicate and ethereal that they seemed more like dreams than reality. They discovered sponges that looked like intricate lacework, their bodies filtering the deep ocean water through patterns of holes, so complex they resembled the most beautiful architecture. They found sea lily that swayed in the deep currents like underwater flowers, their graceful arms reaching up toward the distant surface in a slow, eternal dance. Perhaps most wonderfully, they discovered that the deep sea was not empty and barren, but incredibly, beautifully full of life. Every sample brought up new species, new forms of existence that had been quietly thriving in the darkness for millions of years. The Azoic Zone, that lifeless desert the scientists had imagined, turned out to be one of the richest, most diverse habitats on Earth. The Challenger expedition collected over 4,700 new species of marine life. Think of that number for a moment. 4,700 forms of life that had existed all along, patiently waiting in the deep, living their quiet lives in the eternal darkness, while humans above remained completely unaware of their existence. This gentle voyage of discovery taught humanity something profound, that our planet holds far more mysteries than we had ever dared to imagine. It showed us that life is not just tenacious, but creative beyond our wildest dreams, finding ways to thrive in conditions we thought were impossible. And yet, even this groundbreaking expedition only scratched the surface of the deep sea's secrets. The Challenger could only sample small patches of the ocean floor, like trying to understand a vast library by reading a few random sentences. The expedition opened the door to the deep ocean, but it also revealed just how much we still had to learn, how much mystery still waited patiently in the depths. Now, let us take a gentle journey together, descending slowly through the layers, of our liquid world, feeling the ocean embrace us as we sink deeper into its quiet mysteries. Close your eyes, if you will, and imagine yourself settling into a vessel designed not for speed or conquest, but for wonder, a craft as comfortable as your favorite armchair, with windows that offer perfect views of the underwater realm. We begin our descent at the surface, where the water is still touched by sunlight, still warm from the sun's gentle caress. Here, the ocean sparkles and dances, its surface broken by small waves that catch the light like scattered diamonds. Fish move in silver schools, their movements creating brief, shimmering patterns that appear and dissolve like thoughts in air. Peaceful mind dot, as we sink deeper, the light begins to change, shifting from the bright white of sunshine to deeper blues and greens. We're entering what scientists call the epipelagic zone, but let's think of it as the ocean's day room, a space where sunlight still visits, where photosynthesis can still occur, where the familiar rules of surface life still apply dot at around 100 meters deep. We notice something beautiful beginning to happen. The water around us starts to take on a deeper, richer blue, like the color of twilight settling over a calm lake. The sunlight, filtered through all that water above us, becomes softer, more diffuse, creating an underwater cathedral of gentle blue light dot by 200 meters. We cross an invisible threshold. This is where the sun's light finally gives up its long journey downward, where photosynthesis becomes impossible, where the familiar world of green plants and bright colors fades into memory. We are entering the twilight zone, the mesopelagic, a realm of perpetual dusk where the ocean begins to reveal its more mysterious nature. Here, in this liquid twilight, we encounter our first bioluminescent creatures. They appear like living stars scattered through the water, jellyfish that pulse with ethereal blue light, tiny copepods that flash like fireflies, squid that communicate with patterns of light across their skin like underwater calligraphy dot. As we continue our patient descent, the water around us grows colder, denser, more still. We're sinking through layers of water that have different temperatures, different chemical compositions, like moving through invisible countries, each with its own climate and character. Sometimes we pass through thermoclines, boundaries between warmer and cooler water, and we can actually feel the temperature change, as if we're passing through curtains of different seasons dot at 1,000 meters deep. We enter what scientists call the bathypelagic zone, but let's call it the midnight realm. Here, the pressure has increased dramatically. It's now 100 times greater than at the surface, yet we remain safe in our imaginary vessel, able to observe this alien world without being crushed by its embrace. The creatures here are even stranger, even more beautiful. We might see a vampire squid, despite its fearsome name, actually a gentle creature that feeds on marine snow, the constant gentle rain of organic matter that drifts down from the surface like underwater snowflakes. Its body pulses with bioluminescent patterns, creating a light show that serves as both communication and camouflage. We continue deeper, past 4,000 meters, into the abyssopelagic zone, the abyss itself. Here, the pressure is now 400 times greater than at the surface. The temperature hovers just above freezing, and the darkness is absolute, except for the living lights of the creatures themselves. Yet life persists, even thrives, in forms so strange. They seem like the products of an alien imagination. Finally, if we were to descend to the very deepest parts of our ocean, the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the ancient Greek underworld, we would find ourselves in trenches deeper than mountains are tall, where the pressure exceeds 1,000 times that at the surface, where the very rocks of the Earth's crust bend and fold under the immense weight of water dot. And even here, in these most extreme depths, life persists. Creatures have been found that live their entire lives under pressures that would instantly destroy any surface organism. Creatures that have never known sunlight, never experienced the gentle pressure changes of weather, never felt anything. But the constant, overwhelming embrace of the deep ocean. This journey through the layers of the ocean reveals something profound about why the deep sea remains so unexplored. It's not just one environment, but dozens of different worlds stacked on top of each other, each with its own conditions, its own challenges, its own forms of life. To truly explore the deep ocean means to explore not just one alien world, but an entire series of alien worlds, each more mysterious than the last. Asterisk, asterisk, let me share with you some gentle secrets of the deep sea, quiet wonders that sleep beneath the waves, waiting patiently for curious minds to discover them. These are not the dramatic facts that make headlines, but rather the soft, beautiful truths that whisper of just how mysterious our ocean world truly remains. Did you know that there are rivers flowing beneath the sea? Not rivers of water, but rivers of brine, water so heavy with salt that it flows along the ocean floor like liquid mercury, creating underwater waterfalls and meandering streams that wing through the abyssal plains. These brine pools are so dense that fish can actually swim above them, as if flying over an underwater landscape of liquid glass. In the deepest parts of our ocean, there exist lakes, actual lakes with shores and surfaces sitting on the sea floor. These are pools of liquid that is different from the surrounding seawater, sometimes methane, sometimes brine, so concentrated it creates a distinct boundary. Fish swim up to these underwater lakes and pause at their edges, as if contemplating whether to dive into this lake within a lake, this mystery within a mystery. The deep sea moves in the slowest of rhythms. There are currents down there that take 1,000 years to complete a single circuit around the globe. Water that began its journey when castles were being built in medieval Europe is only now reaching the opposite side of the ocean. These ancient currents carry with them the chemical signatures of long ago eras, like liquid time capsules drifting through the depths. Perhaps most beautifully, the deep ocean creates its own weather. There are underwater storms that rage for decades, great rotating masses of water that dwarf any hurricane on the surface. But these are patient storms, moving with the gentleness of clouds, their winds measured not in miles per hour, but in inches per day. They sculpt the sea floor over centuries, creating patterns in the mud that tell stories of weather systems that have been brewing since before human civilization began. Creatures of the deep sea live by different rules of time as well. There are deep sea sharks that can live for over 400 years, their slow metabolisms allowing them to witness centuries of ocean change. They are the great elders of our planet, swimming through the darkness with memories that span longer than any nation has existed. Some deep-sea creatures barely move at all. There are sea pigs, small, translucent relatives of sea cucumbers, that migrate across the ocean floor in herds, but so slowly that their journey might take months to cover what a person could walk in a day. They move in long, patient processions, following chemical trails through the mud like underwater pilgrims on an eternal, slow-motion pilgrimage. The deep sea is also home to the largest living structures on Earth. There are sponge reefs in the deep ocean that stretch for hundreds of miles, created over thousands of years by tiny animals working together grain by grain. These structures are so vast that they create their own ecosystems, like underwater cities built by creatures no bigger than your thumb. In some parts of the deep ocean, it snows constantly. Not snow as we know it, but marine snow, a gentle, continuous fall of organic matter drifting down from the surface world above. This underwater snow takes weeks to fall from the surface to the deep sea floor, creating a slow-motion blizzard that has been falling for millions of years. It's the primary food source for many deep-sea creatures who have learned to catch these falling flakes like underwater butterflies collecting flower petals. The pressure in the deep sea is so intense that it can actually squeeze the water molecules closer together, making the water itself more dense. This means that objects that would float at the surface might sink in the deep sea, and things that would sink at the surface might float. It's a world where the basic rules of buoyancy become fluid, where up and down become suggestions rather than certainties. And perhaps the most wonderful secret of all, the deep sea is largely silent to our ears, but it's actually filled with sound. Whales sing songs that can travel for thousands of miles through the deep water, their voices carrying across entire ocean basins. There are sounds down there that we're only beginning to understand, mysterious pulses and rhythms that might be the conversations of creatures we've never seen, the heartbeat of underwater ecosystems we've never imagined. These gentle secrets remind us that the deep sea is not just unexplored because it's difficult to reach, but because it exists on such different scales of time and space than our surface world. It's a realm where a single creature's lifetime spans centuries, where storms rage for decades, where snow falls for millennia. To truly understand, it would require not just better technology, but a fundamental shift in how we think about time, space, and life itself. Asterisk, asterisk. As we float here together in the gentle darkness of contemplation, let us reflect on what the mystery of the deep sea tells us about ourselves, about our place in this vast, water-covered world we call home. There is something deeply humbling, and yet profoundly comforting, about the knowledge that such enormous mysteries exist right here beneath our feet, patiently waiting in the liquid darkness. Think about this for a moment. We live on a planet that is predominantly ocean, yet we are land creatures, confined to the thin skin of continents and islands that make up less than 30% of Earth's surface. We have built our entire civilization on what is essentially the margins of our world. The real Earth, the deep, vast, three-dimensional Earth, remains largely unknown to us, as alien and mysterious as any distant planet we might discover. Among the stars, this reveals something beautiful about the nature of mystery itself. We often think of the unknown as something far away, distant galaxies, other dimensions, realms that exist beyond our reach. But the deep sea reminds us that the most profound mysteries can exist right here, right now, closer to us than we ever imagined. Every time we walk along a beach, we are standing at the edge of the greatest unexplored frontier on our planet. Every wave that laps at our feet has traveled from depths that no human eye has ever seen. There is a gentle wisdom in this proximity of mystery. It teaches us humility, the recognition that despite all our technological achievements, despite our ability to peer deep into space and split atoms, we still know remarkably little about our own home. We have mapped the surface of Mars with greater precision, and we have mapped the floor of our own oceans. We have identified more species of insects in a single rainforest than we have fish species in the entire deep sea. But this unknowing is not a failure, it is a gift. The deep sea offers us something increasingly rare in our modern world: genuine mystery, authentic wonder, the thrilling knowledge that there are still discoveries to be made, still frontiers to explore, still questions without answers. In an age when we can instantly access information about almost anything, the deep sea remains gloriously, magnificently unknown. Consider what this means for the future of human wonder. Children being born today will grow up in a world where the deep sea still holds its secrets, where new species are still being discovered, where entirely new ecosystems might still be found. They will inherit a planet that still has the capacity to surprise us, to challenge our assumptions, to reveal that life is more creative and resilient than we ever dared to imagine. Asterisk, asterisk. The deep sea also teaches us about the nature of life itself. The creatures that thrive in the deep ocean have evolved in isolation from our surface world, developing solutions to the challenges of existence that we could never have imagined. They show us that life is not just tenacious, but endlessly inventive. capable of finding ways to flourish in conditions that seem impossible. This has profound implications for how we think about life beyond Earth. If life can thrive in the crushing depths of our ocean, in environments of eternal darkness and incredible pressure, then perhaps life is possible in places we once thought barren, in the subsurface oceans of Jupiter's moons, in the ancient water reserves deep beneath the surface of Mars, in environments throughout the universe that we previously dismissed as lifeless. The mystery of the deep sea also speaks to something fundamental about the human spirit. We are creatures driven by curiosity, by the need to explore and discover and understand. The fact that vast mysteries still exist on our own planet means that this essential part of human nature, our drive to explore, still has frontiers to pursue. We are not yet a species that has run out of worlds to discover. And there is something deeply peaceful about living on a planet with such vast unknowns. It means that no matter how much we learn, no matter how much we think we understand, there will always be more mystery, more wonder, more opportunities for discovery. The deep sea ensures that future generations will still have the joy of exploration, the thrill of discovering something entirely new. Perhaps most beautifully, the mystery of the deep sea reminds us that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. We are not separate from this water world, but intimately connected to it. The water in our bodies came from the ocean. The oxygen we breathe was produced by marine organisms. The weather patterns that shape our climate are driven by the great currents of the deep sea. We are not observers of the ocean mystery. We are part of it. ****, in the gentle quiet of this moment, let us drift deeper into contemplation, like thoughts settling into the peaceful depths of a calm mind. The mystery of the deep sea invites us to consider something profound about the very nature of exploration and discovery. Not just the exploration of our planet, but the exploration of ourselves and our place in the cosmic story. When we think about why the deep sea remains unexplored, we're really asking a deeper question. What does it mean to truly know a place? We might map every square meter of the ocean floor, catalog every species, measure every current and temperature gradient. But would we then truly know the deep sea? Or would we simply have collected data about it, like trying to understand a symphony by analyzing the frequency of each note? The deep sea teaches us that knowledge comes in layers, just like the ocean itself. There is the knowledge of facts and measurements, the scientific data we can collect and analyze. But beneath that lies another kind of knowing, the knowledge that comes from wonder, from imagination, from allowing ourselves to be changed by mystery rather than simply solving it. Consider the profound patience of the deep ocean world. In our surface lives, we measure time in minutes, hours, days. We live at the speed of heartbeats and breath, of sunrise and sunset, of seasons that change with familiar rhythm. But the deep sea operates on geological time, evolutionary time, the slow patience of water that has been moving in the same current for 1,000 years. This different relationship with time offers us a gentle lesson about perspective. The urgent concerns of our daily lives, the deadlines, the worries, the constant rush of modern existence, these exist only in the thin layer of time that we inhabit at the surface. Beneath all of that urgency lies something deeper, more permanent, more peaceful. The deep sea reminds us that patience is not just a virtue, but a fundamental force of nature. There's something deeply comforting in knowing that while we sleep, tonight, the great currents of the deep ocean continue their ancient circulation, carrying nutrients and warmth around the planet in patterns that have persisted for millions of years. The bioluminescent creatures continue their slow, beautiful dances in the darkness. The ancient sharks continue their patient journeys through the abyss. The ocean's work continues, regardless of our awareness of it, with the reliability of a planetary heartbeat. This continuity speaks to something essential about our world, that there are systems and cycles and rhythms that operate far beyond the scale of human consciousness, yet support and sustain everything we know. We are held by these larger patterns, cradled by forces we're only beginning to understand. The deep sea is one of these great holders, one of the fundamental systems that makes our surface world possible. The mystery of the deep sea also invites us to consider the relationship between knowledge and wonder. In our age of information, we often assume that knowing more means wondering less, that understanding diminishes mystery. But the deep sea suggests the opposite. The more we learn about it, the more mysterious it becomes. Each discovery reveals 10 new questions. Each answered mystery opens up entire new realms of unknowing. This is perhaps the most beautiful aspect of the deep sea's mystery. It's not a puzzle to be solved, but a doorway to endless discovery. It's not a problem that will eventually be finished, but a source of wonder that will continue to nourish human curiosity for generations to come. The ocean doesn't hoard its secrets out of stubbornness. It reveals them gradually, like a patient teacher who knows that the best learning happens slowly, organically. With respect for the complexity of what is being learned, think about the children who will grow up knowing that such mysteries exist on their own planet. They will live with the knowledge that beneath their feet lies a world more alien than Mars, more mysterious than the far side of the moon. This knowledge will shape their imagination, their sense of possibility, their relationship with the unknown. They will understand, in a way that perhaps we are only beginning to, that mystery is not the enemy of knowledge, but its deepest source. The deep sea also teaches us about the nature of home. We think of Earth as our home, but really, we inhabit only the surface of our home, the shallow layer where air meets water, where land rises above sea level. The true Earth, the deep Earth, the vast three-dimensional space where most of our planet's life actually exists, remains largely foreign to us. We are like inhabitants of a house who have never explored the basement, never opened certain doors, never looked behind particular curtains. Yet this doesn't diminish our belonging here. If anything, it deepens it. We belong to a planet so rich, so complex, so full of mystery that we could spend lifetimes exploring it and still discover new wonders. We are citizens of a world that continues to surprise us, continue to teach us, continue to offer us new ways of understanding what it means to be alive in this vast, mostly water universe we call home. As our gentle journey through the mysteries of the deep sea draws us further into contemplation, let us consider the profound poetry of the unexplored, not just what it means for science or discovery, but what it means for the human soul, for our dreams, for our deepest sense of wonder and possibility. There is something sacred about the unknown spaces of our world. The deep sea exists as a vast sanctuary of mystery, a cathedral of the unexplored, where silence and darkness have preserved secrets for millions of years. In a world where satellites can photograph our breakfast from space, where digital maps can guide us down any street, where information about almost everything is available at the touch of a screen, the deep sea offers us something increasingly precious, genuine, authentic mystery. This mystery is not empty or barren, but full of potential, pregnant with possibilities we cannot yet imagine. Every unexplored trench might harbor entirely new forms of life. Every deep-sea mountain range might support ecosystems unlike anything we've discovered. Every square kilometer of unmapped ocean floor might hold keys to understanding life itself, evolution itself, the very nature of existence on a water world. But perhaps the most beautiful gift of the deep sea's mystery is what it offers to human imagination. The unknown doesn't limit us, it liberates us. When we know that vast unexplored realms exist on our own planet, we are reminded that reality is far more creative, far more surprising, far more wonderful than any fiction we could invent. The deep sea whispers to us that the universe is not running out of wonders. that existence itself is an ongoing process of discovery and creation. Consider the profound humility that comes with this knowledge. We live in an age that sometimes feels like everything has been discovered, mapped, explained, commodified. But the deep sea stands as a gentle correction to that assumption. It reminds us that we are still beginners, still students, still children playing at the edge of an ocean of knowledge that stretches far beyond our current understanding. This humility is not diminishing, it's expansive. It opens us to wonder, to curiosity, to the kind of respectful awe that the greatest mysteries deserve. The deep sea teaches us that being small in the face of mystery doesn't make us insignificant. It makes us part of something magnificent, part of a story so vast and complex that no single mind could contain it all. The ocean's mysteries also speak to the nature of patience and time. In our hurried surface world, we often want answers immediately, solutions quickly, mysteries solved efficiently. But the deep sea operates on different principles. It reveals its secrets slowly, organically, when the conditions are right. It teaches us that some forms of knowledge can't be rushed. That understanding sometimes requires not just intelligence, but patience, respect, and the willingness to approach mystery on its own terms. There's a beautiful paradox in our relationship with the unexplored deep sea. The very fact that it remains largely unknown makes it more precious, not less. If we could explore every corner of it tomorrow, catalog every species, map every current, we might gain information, but we would lose something irreplaceable. The knowledge that mystery still exists, that our world still has the capacity to surprise us. The deep sea also offers us a different way of thinking about progress and achievement. In our surface world, progress often means domination, control, the transformation of the unknown into the known and useful. But the ocean suggests a different model: progress as relationship, understanding as dialogue, exploration as conversation rather than conquest. The creatures of the deep sea have achieved something remarkable. They have learned to thrive in mystery, to live successfully in conditions that seem impossible, to find beauty and meaning in a world of eternal darkness and crushing pressure. They don't fight against the mystery of their environment. They dance with it, become part of it, find ways to flourish within it. Perhaps this is what the deep sea most wants to teach us, that mystery is not a problem to be solved, but a condition to be embraced. That the unknown is not empty space waiting to be filled, but sacred space that holds possibilities we haven't yet dreamed. That we don't need to illuminate every darkness, map every depth, explain every wonder. Sometimes we can simply be grateful that such mysteries exist. The deep sea holds our planet's greatest secrets with the patience of geological time. It has been waiting for millions of years, and it will continue to wait, offering its mysteries to those who approach with respect, curiosity, and the kind of patient wonder that true exploration requires. It reminds us that we live on a planet that is still becoming, still creating, still revealing new forms of beauty and life. In the gentle darkness of the ocean depths, in the pressure and cold and eternal night, life has found ways to create light, to find warmth, to build communities of unimaginable beauty. This is perhaps the deepest teaching of the unexplored sea, that mystery and beauty are inseparable, that the unknown is not empty but full, that darkness can be a canvas for the most extraordinary light. Asterisk, asterisk, in this quiet space of contemplation, as we float gently between the surface world of our daily lives and the mysterious depths of the unexplored ocean, let us reflect on what the deep sea tells us about the nature of being alive on this beautiful, water-covered planet we call home. The deep sea exists in a state of eternal becoming. It is never the same twice, never static, never finished. The currents shift and flow, carrying nutrients and warmth and life from one side of the planet to the other in slow, majestic cycles that have no beginning and no end. The creatures that inhabit these depths are constantly adapting, evolving, finding new ways to thrive in conditions that would seem impossible to surface dwellers like ourselves. This quality of constant becoming offers us a gentle lesson about our own lives. We often think of ourselves as fixed entities, people with set personalities and unchanging essences. But the deep sea reminds us that everything is in motion, everything is fluid, everything is part of larger patterns of change and growth and transformation. Like the deep currents that carry ancient water around the globe, we too are part of flows that are much larger than ourselves. There is something deeply comforting in this realization. The anxieties and worries that seem so solid and permanent in our daily lives are, from the perspective of deep time, simply temporary currents in the flow of our experience. They arise, they persist for a while, and then they dissolve back into the larger patterns of our lives, just as the water that makes up a particular wave eventually becomes part of a different wave, a different current, a different part of the ocean's eternal circulation. The deep sea also teaches us about the nature of community and connection. Despite the crushing pressure, despite the eternal darkness, despite the vast distances that separate one creature from another, life in the deep ocean has found countless ways to connect. Bioluminescent creatures communicate through patterns of light that can be seen from miles through the clear, deep water. Chemical signals carry messages across vast distances. Sound travels through the water, connecting creatures across entire ocean basins. These connections remind us that isolation is an illusion. Even in the most remote, most seemingly barren parts of our planet, life finds ways to reach out, to communicate, to form communities. The deep-sea creatures that seem so alien to us are actually engaged in the same fundamental activities that define all life: seeking food, finding mates, raising young, communicating with others, building communities, creating meaning from existence. The mystery of the deep sea also speaks to the importance of preserving spaces for the unknown in our own lives. In our modern world, we often feel pressure to have everything figured out, to know where we're going, to have clear plans and definite answers. But the deep sea suggests that there is profound value in maintaining regions of mystery, areas of unknowing, spaces where we can simply wonder without needing to immediately understand or control. Perhaps some of the most important parts of our inner lives are like the deep sea, vast, largely unexplored, full of currents and creatures and patterns that we sense but don't fully understand. The attempt to map and catalog and explain every aspect of our inner experience might be as impossible and as unnecessary as trying to explore every corner of the ocean. Some mysteries are meant to remain mysterious. The deep-sea creatures have mastered something that we surface dwellers often struggle with: the art of thriving in uncertainty. They live in a world where the rules are different, where pressure can crush, where darkness is absolute, where the next meal might be weeks away. Yet they have not just survived, but flourished, creating some of the most beautiful and complex ecosystems on Earth. This ability to thrive in uncertainty offers us a different model for living. Instead of seeing the unknown as a problem to be solved, we might learn to see it as an environment to be explored, adapted to, even celebrated. The deep-sea creatures don't waste energy fighting against the darkness. They create their own light. They don't struggle against the pressure. They find ways to live in harmony with it. There is also something profoundly generous about the deep sea's mystery. It doesn't hoard its secrets out of spite or selfishness, but rather reveals them. Gradually, like a wise teacher who understands that learning happens best when it unfolds naturally, organically, at its own pace. Each deep-sea expedition brings back new discoveries, new species, new understanding, but also new questions, new mysteries, new invitations to wonder. This generosity extends to future generations as well. The deep sea ensures that children not yet born will still have genuine mysteries to explore, authentic unknowns to investigate, real frontiers to cross. In a world where so much has been mapped and measured and explained, the ocean preserves vast spaces for future wonder, future discovery, future awe. The deep sea also holds our planet's memory. In its sediments lie the records of ancient climates, extinct civilizations, cosmic events that shaped the history of life on Earth. In its creatures live the stories of evolutionary experiments that succeeded in the darkness, adaptations that allowed life to flourish in conditions that seemed impossible. The ocean remembers, and in its deep, patient way, it continues to teach us about where we came from and who we might become. Asterisk, asterisk, as we near the end of our gentle journey through the mysteries of the deep sea, let us rest for a moment in the profound peace that comes from contemplating the vast unknowns that still exist on our own planet. There is something deeply restorative about knowing that mystery persists, that wonder has not been exhausted, that the world still holds secrets that can surprise and delight us. The deep sea offers us a different way of thinking about time itself. In our surface lives, time often feels linear, urgent, limited. We race against deadlines, worry about running out of time, feel pressured by the relentless forward march of minutes and hours and days. But the deep ocean operates on circular time, cyclical time, the time of great currents that take centuries to complete their journeys, the time of creatures whose lifespans stretch across decades or even centuries. This ocean time is patient. Time, forgiving time, time that allows for gradual change and gentle transformation. It's the time of coral reefs that grow imperceptibly slowly, grain by grain, into structures that support entire ecosystems. It's the time of deep-sea sediments that accumulate like slow snow, preserving the history of our planet in layers that tell stories spanning millions of years. When we align ourselves with ocean time, even briefly, we can feel our anxieties begin to settle like sediment falling through still water. The urgent concerns of our daily lives don't disappear, but they find their proper proportion within the larger patterns of existence. We remember that we are part of something much bigger than our individual worries, something more enduring than our temporary troubles. The deep sea also teaches us about the nature of abundance. We often think of abundance in terms of quantity. More money, more possessions, more achievements, more experiences. But the ocean suggests a different kind of abundance, the abundance of diversity, of creativity, of life finding countless different ways to exist and thrive and create beauty. In the deep sea, abundance means millions of species we haven't yet discovered, ecosystems we haven't yet imagined, forms of life so creative and unexpected that they expand our very definition of what it means to be alive. This abundance doesn't diminish when it's shared. It multiplies, creates more opportunities for connection and wonder and discovery. Perhaps this is what the deep sea most wants to teach us about living, that true abundance comes not from accumulating more, but from remaining open to the infinite creativity of existence itself. The ocean doesn't need to possess its mysteries. It simply holds them, allows them to exist, provides the space and conditions for unimaginable forms of beauty to emerge. The creatures of the deep sea have also mastered something essential, the art of finding light in darkness. Literally and metaphorically, they create illumination where none should exist. The bioluminescent jellyfish that pulse with ethereal blue light, the deep-sea fish that carry their own lanterns, the bacteria that transform chemical energy into living light. They all demonstrate that darkness is not the absence of light, but rather an invitation to become our own source of illumination. This offers us a profound metaphor for navigating the dark periods of our own lives. Instead of waiting for external light to brighten our circumstances, we might learn to generate our own luminescence through creativity, through connection, through the simple act of continuing to live and love and wonder despite the surrounding. Darkness. The deep sea also reminds us that some of the most beautiful things happen in solitude, in quiet, in spaces far from the bright, busy surface of things. The most exquisite deep-sea creatures live their entire lives in conditions that would seem impossibly lonely to us surface dwellers. Yet they create communities, they communicate across vast distances, they participate in the larger patterns of ocean life. They teach us that solitude is not isolation, that quiet is not empty, that depth is not distance from life, but perhaps a different way of being fully alive. As we float here in contemplation, we might imagine ourselves as deep-sea creatures for a moment, beings who have learned to thrive in mystery, to create light in darkness, to find beauty in pressure, to discover community in solitude. We might imagine carrying this deep-sea wisdom back to our surface lives, bringing the ocean's patience to our hurried days, its mystery to our over-explained world, its circular time to our linear anxieties. The deep sea will continue its slow, patient work long after we have gone to sleep tonight, long after we wake tomorrow, long after our brief surface lives have run their course. The great currents will continue to circulate. The bioluminescent creatures will continue their ancient dances of light. The ocean will continue to hold its vast collection of secrets with the same gentle, inexhaustible patience it has maintained for millions of years. This continuity is a gift, the knowledge that we are part of something that existed long before us and will continue long after us, something so vast and enduring that our individual concerns, while important to us, are held within a context of such immensity that we can afford to relax, to trust, to let go of the need to understand and control everything. The ocean's mystery is not a challenge to be conquered, but a presence to be appreciated, a vastness to be grateful for, a source of ongoing wonder that will continue to nourish human curiosity and imagination for as long as our species continues to look up at the stars and down into the depths with eyes full of questions and hearts open to surprise. And so, dear friend, we come to the gentle end of our journey together through the mysterious depths of our beautiful, mostly unexplored ocean world. Like deep-sea explorers slowly ascending from the abyss, we rise now from contemplation back toward the surface of consciousness, carrying with us the peaceful wisdom of the depths. Tonight, as you settle into sleep, you might imagine yourself drifting like a piece of marine snow, sinking slowly and peacefully through the water column of dreams. You are part of that eternal gentle snowfall that nourishes the deep sea, carrying with you all the wonder and mystery we've shared, all the quiet revelations about pressure and patience, darkness and light, the known and the beautifully unknown. Let your breathing slow and deepen, like the great currents of the deep ocean that move with such patience, such deliberate grace. Feel your body relaxing into the embrace of your bed, the way deep-sea creatures rest in the gentle pressure of their water world, held and supported by forces larger than themselves. You are held, too, by the gravitational embrace of our planet, by the atmospheric ocean of air that surrounds you, by the larger patterns of existence that continue their ancient work even as you sleep. The deep sea has taught you tonight that mystery is not something to be feared or quickly solved, but something to be appreciated, something that makes our world more beautiful, more full of possibility. As you drift toward sleep, you carry with you the knowledge that vast unexplored realms exist right here on your own planet, that wonder is not something that can be used up or exhausted, that the world continues to create new forms of beauty in the deep places where few eyes have ever looked. Think of the bioluminescent creatures still dancing their slow ballets of light in the ocean depths, their bodies pulsing with gentle rhythms that have persisted for millions of years. They create their own illumination in the darkness, just as you create meaning and beauty in your own life, just as you carry your own inner light through whatever darkness you might encounter. The ancient currents are still flowing tonight, carrying nutrients and warmth around the planet in patterns older than human civilization. The deep-sea creatures are still going about their patient lives. The giant sponges still filtering the water, grain by grain. The sea pigs still making their slow pilgrimages across the ocean floor. The ocean's work continues, just as your body's work continues as you sleep. Your heart beating its steady rhythm, your lungs drawing in the breath of life, your mind processing the day's experiences and weaving them into the larger story of who you are. You are connected to all of this, part of the same water world that stretches from the shallowest tide pools to the deepest trenches. The water in your body came from the ocean, evaporated into clouds, fell as rain, flowed through rivers and streams before becoming part of you. You are literally made of the same substance as the mysterious deep sea, carrying ancient ocean water in your cells, in your blood, in the very thoughts that flow through your mind like underwater currents dot as you rest tonight. The great mystery of the deep sea continues to unfold in its own patient time. Somewhere, a creature that has never seen sunlight is finding food in the darkness. Somewhere, bioluminescent signals are flashing through the water like underwater lightning, carrying messages we don't yet understand. Somewhere, water that began its journey 1,000 years ago is still making its slow circuit around the globe, connecting distant continents in patterns of flow that know no borders, no boundaries, only the eternal circulation of our liquid planet. The deep sea has been patient with us tonight, sharing its secrets gently, without overwhelming us with its vastness. It has shown us that some of the most profound mysteries exist not in distant galaxies, but right here, beneath the waves that lap at familiar shores. It has reminded us that we live on a planet still capable of surprise, still full of undiscovered wonders, still creating new forms of beauty in places we have never thought to look. Tomorrow, when you wake, the ocean will still be there, still, holding its mysteries with the same gentle patience it has maintained for eons. The deep sea will still be unexplored, still offering its invitation to wonder, still demonstrating that our world is far more creative, far more resilient, far more beautiful than we could ever fully comprehend. But tonight, it's enough to simply rest in this knowledge, to let it settle into your consciousness like sediment drifting slowly through still water. You don't need to understand everything, map everything, explain everything. You can simply be grateful that such mysteries exist, that you live on a planet where wonder is not just possible, but abundant, where the deepest explorations sometimes happen not through travel, but through patient contemplation, through the willingness to let mystery be mysterious. The deep sea wishes you peaceful dreams tonight, dreams as deep and patient as its own currents, as gentle as its floating creatures, as luminous as the living lights that dance in its eternal darkness. May you rest as peacefully as the ancient waters that have been flowing in their great circles for longer than mountains have existed, longer than continents have held their current shapes, longer than our species has walked upright beneath the stars. Wherever you are tonight, in whatever city, whatever country, whatever room, you are floating on the thin surface of a vast ocean world, held and supported by mysteries that continue their patient work in the depths below. Let this knowledge bring you comfort, bring you peace, bring you the deep rest that comes from knowing you are part of something much larger and more enduring than your individual concerns. The ocean's lullaby is the sound of waves that have been singing the same ancient song since before humans learned to listen. Tonight, let that song carry you gently into sleep, into dreams, into the peaceful depths of rest where your own mysteries can unfold in their own time, in their own patient way. Sleep well, gentle explorer. May your dreams be as vast as the ocean, as peaceful as its deepest currents, as luminous as the creatures that make their own light in the darkness. The deep sea will be here when you wake, still mysterious, still patient, still offering its quiet invitation to wonder, wherever you are. I hope you're resting well tonight. May your dreams be peaceful and your mind at ease. Good night.